Our next destination is the plaza in front of the Rutgers Business School and the Audible Tower. Let's start by walking up Park Place back towards Broad Street. The Fireman's Insurance Building at 10 Park Place was completed in 1928. The 10-story building has 16,000 square feet of space. In 1982, the building was designated a New Jersey Historic Place and a National Historic Place. The Berger Organization purchased the building in 1990 and completed renovations in 2006. Next, you'll pass the Symington House, built in 1808 and added to the National Register of Historic Places in 1979. Originally built in 1808 as the rectory for Trinity Church, it was sold because it was considered too large and expensive for church purposes. It's a worthy example of the fine townhouses that were built in Newark's 19th century silk stocking districts. In recent years, it has been reacquired by the Episcopal Diocese of Newark and for a while was home to St. Philip's Academy. As you pass Rector Street, look down and to your right. This spring, a new residential tower topped off on the site of a former Ballantine Hop House. 1 Rector Street is backed by Newark native Shaquille O'Neal, and when completed, the development, nicknamed Shack Tower, will have 1 million square feet of space, 169 rental units, as well as ground floor retail space. Shack plans another tower as part of his personal commitment to revitalize his hometown. The First Baptist Petty Memorial Church was built in 1888 and added to the National Register of Historic Places in 1972. Mayor Thomas Baldwin Petty was a Scottish-born manufacturer of leather goods, one of the city's core industries, who served 2 terms as mayor of Newark and 1 term as a U.S. congressman from 1877 to 79. In the 1880s, Petty gave money for this church. In his bequest, he advised that the church be open to every great meeting of a proper kind that people desire to hold, and should be dedicated to religion, to education, and to the social purposes for the good of all the people. The Petty Church features Byzantine, Romanesque, Moorish, and Gothic touches. As noted earlier, Public Service's first office building was at this intersection of Broad and Central. The location was also where Gerhard Heinrich Mennen founded Mennen in 1878. His first product was talcum-based powder, an innovation at the time. The company relocated several times as it grew, with its last location in Newark on Central across from Duryea Street, that's now the home to St. Philip's Academy. 550 Broad Street is an office building in the Brutalist style built in 1966 during the new Newark era by the Mutual Benefit Life Insurance Company and the George A. Fuller Company. It was once known as the Fidelity Union Building after the company that occupied it. In 2000, the Heritage Capital Group purchased the tower and implemented a multi-million-dollar renovation modernization, winning the state's Building of the Year award in 2001. Let's cross Broad Street now and then walk uptown along Washington Park. The Washington Park Medical Building in front of you began its life as one of the grandest restaurants of its time. The Washington Restaurant was ideally situated, almost opposite the new Schubert Theater, near the Hudson Tubes to New York, and adjacent to the high-rent residences around the park. According to contemporary accounts, the dining room presents a gala appearance, while outside of it, the streets are lined with automobiles. The service is well-nigh perfect. The 436,000 square foot tower at 540 Broad Street was built in 1929 to serve as the New Jersey Bell headquarters building. It was added to the National Register of Historic Places in 2005. The Art Deco building was designed by prolific Manhattan architect Ralph Walker. New Jersey Bell originated in 1904, and upon the divestiture of AT&T in 1984, the Regional Bell Operating Company carried on as Bell Atlantic. It merged with GTE in 2000, forming Verizon, and Verizon New Jersey is still headquartered in the building. Earlier this year, the partnership responsible for the Haynes Building transformation purchased the building, and they are set to transform the tower to accommodate 260 apartments and 60,000 square feet of office and retail space. 520 Broad Street is currently the headquarters for IDT. The building was constructed in 1957 as a corporate headquarters for Mutual Benefit Life. We told Mutual's story earlier. The current tenant, IDT, was established in 1990. IDT Telecom is a pioneer in prepaid and voice-over IP telephony, and today is an industry leader in prepaid communication and payment services through its retail division, as well as one of the world's largest providers of international voice termination through its wholesale division. IDT employs over 1,000 people in more than 20 countries and has revenues in excess of $1.5 billion. The North Reformed Church at 510 Broad Street was constructed beginning in 1857. At the time of its construction, the church served the aristocrats of North Newark. Later, it was home to workers from the Newark and East Newark Passaic mills. The church was badly damaged by fire in 1922 and 1931, but was restored to a functioning church. It is of Gothic structure with buttress walls. The building was added to the National Historic Register of Historic Places in 1972. Seth Boyden was a prolific inventor who moved to Newark from Foxborough, Massachusetts in 1815 when he was 27 years old. In 1818, Boyden received a piece of German-manufactured high-gloss leather and looked for a way to produce his own patent leather. Working in his factory here on Broad and Bridge Street, Boyden's efforts resulted in 1819 in the production of glossy leather that quickly caught on, expanding the range of applications for Newark's growing leather industry. He began his work with malleable iron in 1820 and completed his research 6 years later, winning an award from the Franklin Institute in Philadelphia for his invention, now called black heart iron, referred to as one of the most important contributions to metallurgy by an American. Boyden went on to invent a nail-making machine, build his own steamboat, and invented a cutoff switch for steam engines, a method for producing zinc from ore, and even a hybrid strawberry known as the Hilton strawberry. Boyden also helped Sam Morse with his telegraph, and as we described earlier, he produced a locomotive called Orange for the Morris and Essex Railroad in New Jersey. When the statue in his honor was dedicated in Washington Park in 1926, 79-year-old Thomas Edison felt compelled to come to the event, saying he was one of America's greatest inventors. His many great and practical inventions have been the basis for great industries which give employment to millions of people. We are standing in front of the headquarters and studios of Audible, an Amazon company. In January 1995, Audible introduced the first production volume digital audio player almost 4 years before the introduction of the iPod. It has always recruited top voice talents from the entertainment industry to voice its audiobooks. Audible's 6 recording studios, producers and voice actors create new audiobooks 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. In November 2017, Audible claimed its customers listened to over 1 billion hours of content during the year. Audible CEO Donald Katz has been a leading voice supporting the rejuvenation of Newark and has said of the company's move to the city, the vision behind the move was to try to combine a missionary, disruptive, technology-driven company with Newark's transformation. I consider the Newark move one of the best decisions we've made as a company. Newark is also a sports town, having produced professional athletes across all major sports. The opening of The Rock brought major league franchises to Newark for the first time, but it's hosted professional sports teams for most of the last century. Just around the corner is the site of Bears and Eagles Stadium. The stadium was built in 1999 as the home for a new franchise in the Atlantic League of Professional Baseball, an independent minor league. Founding partners included Newark native and former New York Yankee catcher Rick Cerone. The team was named in honor of the original Bears, who were a top farm club of the New York Yankees from 1926 until 1949. The original Bears played in Rupert Stadium on Wilson Ave in the Ironbound. The stadium was also home to the Negro League Newark Stars in 1926 and Newark Eagles from 1936 to 1948. As the Yankees' top minor league team, The Bears were a staging ground for most of the Yankee greats, and the Eagles produced stars like Larry Doby, who was the Jackie Robinson of the American League, Monty Irvin, Don Newcombe, and other Hall of Famers. After several ownership changes, the modern Bears franchise failed, and the stadium was sold in 2016 for $23 million. It will be demolished to make way for Riverfront Square, a commercial residential project with 2 million square feet of retail and Class A office space, 2,000 residential apartments, a hotel and conference center, as well as arts and cultural space. Around the corner, across from the Broad Street train station and light rail depot, is the site of another imaginative development. The location was once the site for a Westinghouse plant beginning in 1884. In 1922, WJZ, for Jersey, the second licensed radio station in the country, started broadcasting from a shack on the factory roof. When that station moved to New York, it changed its call letters to WABC. The plant eventually spread over 4.5 acres, making electric products from meters to motors to lighting before it was shut down in the 1980s. The new development is a $1 billion transit village that includes 1.1 million square feet of office